Not fragile like a flower.
Fragile like a bomb.
Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of Like a Bomb. I'm Bailey,
I'm Jill, her mom.
and it is our 27th episode. Yes, being redundant. It is August
It is.
4th.
Yes.
Almost time for school season, if not the first day of school for some people. At some states, they start at the beginning of August.
And if you're year round, you might be back.
Yeah, yay. Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my little spike of hair that didn't want to cooperate this morning. So, I have one horn. But yeah, if you're new here, we talk about different women and events that are unique to women or from the point of view of women. And we take turns telling each other stories where we don't know what the other's talking about until we mention it. Such as 2 episodes, we had the same story. Or 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Was that 2 episodes ago?
I think so. I think it was
Yeah,
episode
it had to be
5.
because it was an odd one because I was supposed to start.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. It's hard to believe that we're in the 20s. And at some
It's
point,
been over a year.
yeah, I was going to make YouTube videos, but there keeps being strangers in my house. Or
You
I
mean
love you, Mom.
TikTok videos?
Yes, sorry.
I mean, we can make them YouTube shorts.
I don't know. Some kind of movies,
I don't know.
videos, recordings, things. I was out of town for a little while and then not very long, just a few days.
Yeah, you get to interact with dinosaurs.
I did. We had so much fun. And I need to get my magnets popped off of my dinosaur magnets I need to glue them back. And the dinosaur parts are in my car and the magnets are in my car. Where did I put the magnets again? I found them again. And then what did I do with them? Uh-oh. Crap.
They've disappeared into the void, I guess.
Excuse me.
There's a little boy attacking. Be warned.
He's attacking his brother. Be nice.
Okay, well, the boys are doing their thing. I got no cats right now, but I've been screen printing and reading a lot. I've been reading a lot.
I have been, I don't know, I've been listening to audiobooks.
That's still reading.
I've been reading in between. And then, yeah,
I have read the first 4 books of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, which is D&D basically. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to list the premise for if you don't know what it is or if you reading it. Basically, Earth got consumed for materials by this big alien conglomerate company thing. That's like, oop, you guys didn't do your thing in time, resources. And so those people that weren't taken under by like the apartment buildings were sucked under and everything. And if you were outside on the street or whatever, or like in your car for some of them or whatever, you have the option to go into this dungeon. And then you have a chance to win back your world, but also no one makes it that far. So have fun. You get to be a dungeon crawler. So it's like D&D. And there's also a dungeon meshy. Delicious and dungeon.
I can't do dystopia. There's too much.
Well,
Grew
this
up with
one is
too many
extremely
awful
unrealistic.
Well, still, I mean,
There's a bunch of aliens and fighting in a dungeon where the world becomes a dungeon underneath the crust, like going through the surface.
I don't know, starting early, like first grade, second grade, Watership Down, and I know what you did last summer, and I think I'm just scarred for life. Apparently, though, most people think that explains my personality when they find out that I was exposed to those things so early.
I see Brody jumping on the bed. Oh, there they are.
Here, Brody
just one. Hi, Brody. Well, my favorite book is Hunger Games. One of my favorite books.
Yeah, I have no desire. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, look, this is what I grew up with. This is what I started off with. I need happy. I don't need happy. I read a whole lot of horrible things. I
got some wonderful horror books if you want. But they're body horror.
I think I've finally taken a break from all the Holocaust, I think 20 some books that I read on from
So
true
you like the
stories.
realistic, the real dystopian.
Well, yes, because I think they earn a little bit of their souls back when people hear their story.
Fair.
I think that's fair, but
But if it's
yeah.
fiction, no go.
No, because there's enough in the real world that I don't need any fiction. But I meant to do that. There was some books I wanted to recommend that were very much like like all women stuff,
Mm.
but I forgot to write them down. So I'll do that later. She says, not believing herself. I will do it when I get back from running my errands in the town not nearest, close by
Wow,
that
yeah. Yes.
has things because I got to
I,
go
I
run
on the other
errands.
hand, have ADHD and haven't taken my meds and need to post Instagram. So, yeah, but I'll do some more things like on YouTube maybe for this video. Like I'll actually put in built-in chapters. I'll play
I,
around, I'll learn.
I was like, I don't even know what you're saying. I'm going to take your word on it because you know what you're doing and I know how to get to YouTube. There's an app on
I
my
don't know what
phone,
I'm doing. I'm learning along the way.
but
I
all
also
I
need to
do,
figure out how the heck to get a small business license.
I don't know. I
I
don't know
don't
if
know, and
that,
that's gonna make taxes difficult.
oh, yeah, because I've done the independent contractor taxes. I've done run my own business because I was doing the whole like babysitting daycare thing.
And your tarot readings and things.
That was when I was an independent contractor, yes.
Yeah.
When I was, it was like go ask Cleo or Chloe or whatever. That if you're older, you remember those commercials. I worked for her company, and you could call me, and I would do a tarot reading. Well, I actually did pull out tarot cards just because I couldn't completely lie to people. So yep, I did that when I was
Congrats, you
pregnant
did an
with
actual tarot
Piper.
reading.
Yeah,
Which
I got
doesn't work
paid
because
to
doesn't
do
the
it.
whole point is the person has to touch the deck?
It's a whole racket, yeah. Supposedly, yes, you would need them to touch and break the deck.
Yeah, that's why you
But
shuffle it and they touch and break it.
yes, but you know, I got paid pretty well to do it, especially because I was pregnant with your sister. So this is the early 2000s.
Mhm.
Yep. After you would go to sleep, I would go downstairs with my little headset. And
But didn't I go to bed late with you?
yeah, I didn't sleep. I mean, I completely didn't sleep because you went to bed late. And then I got up with your dad to make sure that he had his lunch and was conscious and not fall back to sleep on his way out the door. And then I would go back upstairs usually, and lay down because you slept late. But
Yep. I because we'd go to bed at like 1, 2 a.m.
yeah, and then I mean, because your schedule's supposed to be my schedule, and that was actually worked best for you. But
Look
it
at
was a
that. I've always
weird,
been a night owl. And then here I
yeah,
am getting up at 6 something for work.
yeah. And your sister just didn't sleep, and
No.
still, she's just her own little person.
We all are our own little
Oh,
person, but
yes.
especially her.
Yeah, I think, Nick was offended. Had to stop by their I had to stop by their apartment because I got her this, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus candle holder at a thrift store when I was in Virginia last weekend. Figured I had left it in my car and I had gone to school to take load some stuff. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know what we were talking about. I don't know why it came up. And I was like, well, you're my gross, messy kid. And she's not arguing. And Nick's like, I don't know that I would call her gross. And I was like, no matter what she does, she doesn't own
Everywhere.
white. Yeah. It's like, and so she's like trying to defend it. I was like, I'm not knocking her. This is not an insult. She's just the kid who gets stuff
Well, he got
everywhere.
raised by different people because, not your kid.
Yeah, like it is just so anyhow, I think he was
Each family's
offended.
different.
Yeah, I think he was offended, but I wasn't. And she doesn't take offense to it. She gets stuff everywhere. I get stuff everywhere when I do things.
I
So,
do that when I eat.
yeah,
Not as bad as Piper.
no, nobody is as bad as Piper for small toddlers. But she's cute and we love her and we'll keep her.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So. I think
Yeah, what's your story?
oh, I was like, I don't think I have anything else other than I'll be there in a couple of days, few days.
Yeah, we'll probably not record one in person because
No, no, it'll be a I don't even know how I'm gonna feel. I might be like,
yeah, you get a stab.
yeah, I get a bunch of injections in my head. Yay! Anyhow, I was gonna do some other people based on one of the books that I just listened to, but then I was like, I just listened to that book for days and I was in a downer mood because of it. I don't want to
Oh,
do this. So I'm doing Temple Grandin.
I don't know
No.
who that is.
Oh, really?
No.
They should be teaching it in school. I know I heard about her in school because I don't know why. But anyhow, she is an academic, an author, an inventor, an ethologist, a branch of zoology that studies behaviors in non-human animals. She's an autism advocate and so much more. She is known as the one of the first people with autism who described what it was like to have autism.
And a woman with autism, no less.
Yes. So,
Look, it's not just a men's thing.
no, she was, yeah, no, and she's a little older than my parents. Only a couple years, but
Well,
she's a
yeah,
little older than my
autism
parents.
only recently became its own thing for boomer aged kids, like generational
Yeah.
boomers.
Yeah, and they really weren't labeled as autistic, mainly. Anyhow, I'll get into it.
Yeah.
So, she was born Mary Temple Grandin on August 29th, 1947 in Boston, Massachusetts. Supposedly, the reason I read it in a couple of different ways and a couple of different articles, the reason she doesn't go by Mary was one of the family's employees also had the name of Mary, so she went by Temple.
I don't know, Mary's a really common name probably at the time
Um,
too.
yeah, I mean, um, and then I read that she said she doesn't go by it because she thought it was too girly. Either way, she goes by Temple. She was born into a wealthy family. Her maternal grandfather was the co-inventor of the aviation autopilot. Whew,
Oh,
the money that came along with that. And then the paternal great grandfather and his brother, um, my brain just went blah, were invested. They ended up getting a bunch of land and there was money there too. So mom was Anna Eustacia. So it looked everything I read, she went by Eustacia is her first name. And she was an actress, singer, and an author all her own. She did A Thorn in My Pocket. Temple Grandin's mother tells the family story. She also has an English degree from Harvard.
oh,
So
cool.
that was like, okay, that's impressive. Dad was Richard. He was a real estate agent and a heir to the Grandin Farms, which was the largest at the time wheat farm businesses in the U.S. So
Dang, they got money.
they had money. So that's when I
Money,
think, well,
money.
when they say one of the family's employees, I think it was one of the family, like, domestic employees. So they were in the house all the time. And that might mean it'd be weird though to be like changing your kid's name because of an employee, but they live
Mm.
in the same house. If they're in the same house all the time, that would make a little more sense. Um, she was the oldest of four kids. She has two sisters that are both in the artistic fields and one brother who's a banker. I mean, sure. Whatever. So,
Just banker, whatever.
she was one of the first people to share her personal experiences with autism, and she shared a lot in lots of books, and we'll kind of get there too. Um, so her early life and diagnosis is age 2, she was diagnosed with brain damage. Um, and that was blamed on by the doctors blamed her mom on like, what did you do wrong? No, why she has brain damage. And that was most articles say she was diagnosed with autism, but if you go back and look, it says that like autism wasn't a diagnosis then, they diagnosed
No.
you with brain damage. So that makes more sense. She didn't speak, so that's kind of why they were kept taking her to doctors. and behaved a little differently than other children. The doctor suggested she needed to be institutionalized. She wasn't. Mom said,
Good.
like, "No, like, we have resources. We're gonna just go to the best doctors and figure it out." And dad was like, "Well, let's trust the doctors. They know what they're talking about," which I understand because these are medical professionals. You do feel like you need to trust them. Like right now, I'm getting a lot of trust the doctors if they suggest you have, brain surgery. No, I get
Yeah.
that. But if there's other alternatives, I'm going to also explore those. And that's kind of what mom's like, okay, yeah, I'm not saying I don't trust the doctors. There is something off and different, but let's see if there's other ways for us to deal with this. She wasn't actually officially diagnosed until she was an adult with autism.
Hmm.
Uh, she does actually have some brain damage though, which affects her like long-term memory and short-term memory and stuff like that. But when she was a teenager, her mom had found an autism diagnostic checklist, and she believed that it best explained like the symptoms of her daughter. So that's like where she got that like before she was officially diagnosed, where she had like the I am autistic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, when she was 2.5, she began personalized and extensive speech therapy because she didn't talk. And she later in life said that she didn't think in words, she thought in pictures. She actually has a book with the title of kind of like that. And by 4, she was beginning to speak. So she went elementary through high school. She was in private schools. Again, they had a lot of money. I read you just a little bit about like family stuff. Like there was money. So she was able to go to private schools. One of the articles said something like her elementary school, the teacher and students tried to help her and open up things and be the best nurturing about that because this is the early 50s. I think
Yeah.
they probably weren't as private or not, probably were not as kind as that one sentence made it sound. Um, it was a whole different world. Not that people are necessarily kind now, but I will say the students I have, and I have them granted when they're in 8th grade, they sometimes they'll have concerns if there's a student who has an outburst or something like that. But especially if they've gone to school with these kids for years, they don't think anything of it. They're just like, oh, that's so and so. That's, like they don't pick on them for that. They just,
Usually, not
yeah, like,
always.
yeah. So it has changed. Also, I wouldn't stand for it. I would lose
There's
my
a
mouth.
lot more social understanding and respect and being
Yes.
soft to people instead of just hard and you gotta be tough and weeding out any soft or weaknesses.
Yes. So there's just a different mind. We just know more. Like we know more.
Yeah.
And that's very much just we know more. So at 14, she was expelled for throwing a rock at a classmate that was teasing her. And she had a very high IQ. So after that, she attended a school for gifted students. Gifted, I put in quotation marks because it was considered students that were of higher understanding, but were not traditional students. Like they were not successful in like traditional school settings. There she became the Winter Carnival queen and the captain of the hockey team. So
She was doing
it,
well.
she was doing well. I think because, they were fostering the fact that she was different.
Mhm.
And, we have to do that. Like, that's one of the things she says about like there needs to be like early intervention, there needs to be early diagnosis, but we also need to be able to like foster like this student needs to get up and move around. Okay, so when I seat you in my seating chart, I'm going to put you over here where there is room for you to get up and move around, and I'll probably put you behind some other people so that they're not seeing you get up and walk in front of them. Like it's just you figure out. I think she called it fixations. It's not
Or
fixes.
fidgets.
Yeah, it's like it's not fixes. It's just ways to adapt things that are different. At 15, her parents got divorced, and she spent the summer in Arizona with her soon-to-be stepdad's sister at her ranch, and that's where she got like her career interest, which we will get into. She did say that junior high and high school were this is a quote, were the most unpleasant times of her life, which I think some of us can relate to that.
If you're different, you're
Um,
bullied. I literally had a conversation with a friend and coworker yesterday of just like, yeah, teenage girls are vicious,
yeah,
particularly
girls are
as a
awful.
teenage girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm. Yeah, girls are I mean, not that boys are necessarily nice to each other, it's just very, very different. Women are more spiteful and conniving and scary, 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 scary. Men are more, "I'm gonna hit you," and that's
yeah, there's studies where if you separate fighting boys, they'll just go off and do their own thing, but if you separate fighting girls, they tend to
no, they're
just
just gonna plot.
hold a grudge more and keep going at it.
Yep, they're gonna plot, and it's not gonna go well. Her senior year of high school, while she's, at the very fostering, school, she came up with this idea of a squeeze machine or a hug machine. It's called, like, a squeeze box, a hug box. You can actually Google it. There is anyhow.
I don't know if I
She
want to Google it.
it's not bad. Your head's it's I mean, she did it for herself. Like,
I know,
she
more
did
thinking
it.
the results I could get sound bad.
Oh, no, no, squeeze, like, you type in squeeze machine, it's gonna come up. Like, there's a whole, like, bunch of stuff. Um, and she built this on the likeness of livestock holds that they used for, like, branding and immunizations, like, on her now aunt's, um, ranch. So, basically, the animal goes in, and then it kinda holds them in place so that they can do it, and she found that, like, the animals were calm in that, so she's like, "Okay, well, maybe this would calm me down." Um, with the support of one of her science teachers who was, like, a big supporter while she was in school, William Carlock, and the school's, owner and founder, Henry Patey. She made the box and the machine to do it because it's like deep tissue, deep touch pressure, kind of like a weighted blanket, like
Mhm.
to get rid of anxiety, to calm people with hypersensitivities. And it also, since it worked on livestock, she figured, hey, try it. And she said a hug was overstimulating because there's a lot involved in a personal contact with a person. But if something's doing it to you, you're getting that sensation without having to deal with all the social crap that goes along with it. Um, so Carlock encouraged her to use science to explain the purpose and the effectiveness of this squeeze machine. Like, not only, how is this working? Give me something to support it. Like, not just, oh, it makes me feel good. Like, why does it make you feel good? Because when she did actually go to college, so the psychologists at her college were like, "No, this is not okay and not humane, and we're getting rid of this." Um, and you know, they just said, "Okay, well, if you can prove it scientifically, you have merit." Schools, institutions, and therapists have effectively used the squeeze machine, mainly with autistic people, and it still is in use. I don't know the politics behind it at this point in time,
There's lots of different methods of, like, the sensory
but
swings and, like you said, the weighted blankets.
they have squeeze chairs too, where I saw, like, there's, like, just extra foam where, like, you kind of fit into it and then it just holds you tight. Um, I don't know. I have more anxiety when there's any kind of pressure on me. I don't like any of those weighted blanket things and stuff like that. So, me personally, I would go insane. So, like I said, she did her undergrad at a college that was, like, right down the road from her high school. It was Franklin Pierce College. Now it is Franklin Pierce University. It was 5 minutes from her high school, and due to the lack of, like, a typical transcript, because remember, she went to a school that was not a typical traditional school,
Mhm.
the founder of her high school, helped her get acceptance into this, like, college.
Good.
Um, she earned a bachelor's degree in psychology in 1970. She got her master's, from Arizona State University in animal sciences in 1975, and she got her doctorate in animal sciences from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in 1987. Not 87, 89. I'm looking right at the number and said 7 instead of 9. I don't know why.
Brain
Oh,
gulp.
yep. So she now has a doctorate in animal science. Um, and she used some of that psychology to not just thinking about animals and their like biology, but also in like how they interact with the world. How do we interact with them? How can we help them? So her career, so as an autism advocate, she of course has the squeeze machine or hug or whatever box, whatever we want to call that. Um, and she really believed in early diagnosis, intervention, and supports, educating the people who are dealing with people that are autistic is the best way to help anybody who does have autism, which is very true because if you come in my room some days and there is a student just yelling out profanities and talking about spaceships and stuff, you're going to think something has gone wrong. No, I'll probably go, oh, it's fine. It's just, this is what we do. This is okay. Um, because if you there's different ways to deal with different people regardless of having autism or not. Everybody's different, everybody reacts differently, and if you come in my room and start yelling at him because he's doing that or she's doing that, then you're going to set off another train of events, and that's not, you just, you have to understand that people are people no matter what. People are people. um She wrote a ton of books on the topic. The first one she did was Emergence, labeled autistic. That was her life story. She did that one in 1986. These are just a few of the books. Thinking in pictures. So, like I said, she didn't really think in words. Like, I know when people learn languages, people talk about how they see the word in English and they see the word in that other language and vice versa. And that's how they kind of learn it. She didn't think in words, she thought in pictures. So the book is Thinking in Pictures and Other Reports from My Life with Autism. Uh, it looks like the paperback was 96, but the original printing was 95. Developing Talents, Careers for Individuals with Asperger's Syndrome and High Functioning Autism, 2004, which Asperger's is not really a diagnosis anymore. It is considered part of the autism spectrum. Asperger's used to be what was considered like you're not quite autistic, but you are have some of the characteristics and tendencies. And that what that diagnosis was at one point. Now it has changed and it's not actually a diagnosis anymore. Um, and she has there's a ton of other books and articles. And as far as her career in animal science, her big thing was humane treatments of animals. She said, nature is cruel. We don't have to be. She worked with she wrote many scientific articles, studies, and books. Again, I'm not going to list their sons. Worked as a large animal and to large animal slaughterhouse consultants, also consulting with fast food restaurants and how they managed their cattle or animals to improve cattle's quality of life by alleviating anxiety. So, kind of not just like, well, they're things. She did come out and say, well, we consider animals possessions in society. However, they need to be treated. They do have rights, those kind of things. Her design helped more livestock without um, scaring the animals. She designed similar to the squeeze machine, a conveyor or restrainer for holding before and during stunning cattle. And if you don't know what stunning cattle is, this is actually, I have like memories from being in school and learning about her, is they're stunned and usually hit in the head to go unconscious before they're slaughtered. And yes, slaughtered is the word because that's what they are.
To have food,
And
yes.
yes, so that she has this like it's kind of like the hug machine, kind of where it kind of tightly moves them and then they go kind of on a conveyor. It like spreads their legs and they go down and then they're stunned and taken for slaughter. um she also helped design animal processing plants. She's very vocal. A lot of animal activists come out against her because how can she fight for animals yet still support the slaughtering of them? And she's like, this isn't going to stop. Like, I think it's kind of we just need
We
to
eat
realize
meat.
we eat the meat, so we just need to give them a better quality of life. That's not fair to them.
Yeah.
And
We are
I
raising them for the purpose of eating them. Yes, they're
yes.
living things, and we should respect that. But yeah, we aren't people aren't gonna stop eating meat, especially Americans.
No. And she is truly believes that things like if we're going to eat their meat, we need to use as much of the body we can use, and don't throw it away. Don't be wasteful, because that again is not respecting the animal. And I agree. I didn't eat meat for the longest time for other reasons. I mean, granted, I do know a lot of the things that happened, and so things have changed, things have improved. Huh. But I do think that we just need to be understanding these are animals. They are living beings. Uh, let's just be respectful of that. I understand we are gonna nobody's stopping eating meat. That's not happening. Um, so she has quite a few honors. This is just some of them. In 2010, like Times Magazine does like Time 100 every year. It's the 100 most influential people in the world, and in 2010 she was named and under the heroes category. In 2011 she got the double helix medal. uh can't read my handwriting there. Ashko Fellowship. She has many, many honorary degrees from multiple universities, not just in this country, but throughout the world. In 2012, she was inducted to Colorado's Women's Hall of Fame, Texas Trail of Fame, Hall of Great Westerners, National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. In 2016, she was inducted into American Academy of Arts and Science. 2017, she was inducted into National Women's Hall of Fame. I mean, there's tons of awards and tons of acknowledgments. There are movies, books, articles, songs, so many things done about her. The movie about her life that there was a main one, and Claire Danes played her. It won a ton of Emmys and Grammys or Oscars. I don't remember which one, but a ton. And my students read the Omnivore's Dilemma in 8th grade, which they all go, "Oh God, I'm never eating meat again." And I love it. It's hilarious because it's like, "Ooh, a student learned that chicken nuggets coming from chickens." One year, yep, don't even go there. But she is featured in that book, and I was like, "That's relevant to my kiddos because it's something they read. It's also like this affects your life. We all eat food.
We all
Most
gotta eat.
most people eat meat. She mainly focuses with like cattle. Um, and she's done so much for autism community, not just for people who have autism, but people like parents. She's done speeches, and when she first started doing her public speaking, like people didn't understand what it was. Parents were struggling. So they were like asking her 1,000 questions. Why does my son do this? Why does my, and they're, crying because they finally feel like they're getting answers. Doctors don't necessarily, they still don't know. It's your brain. How our brains work is a mystery, which is terrifying. But it is a mystery, and so people being able to share that, yes, her experience is her experience, but that doesn't mean it can't shed light on other people that can help. Just, I mean, parents, it's very hard. Like, one of the big questions is, why can't I hug my child? Like, and it's not all people with autism, because I have a lot of students that I have that are autistic, and they will first grab my hand before they'll do anything else. They need that, like, hold on to something. But then I have other ones where if I just were to tap them on the shoulder to get their attention, they would have a heart attack. So everybody's different. But she's been on my list for a long time because she's a name that sticks out, because I remember seeing her like cattle like conveyor thing, and I'm like, so And I was just so impressed because somebody was thinking about the animals and not thinking, well, let's just make everybody stop eating meat. Well, that's not realistic. Let's find a realistic wait.
What'd the cat do?
I don't know, but I just heard what sounded like glass.
I don't know. I heard it crash too. It was
It's
loud.
probably all of my things that I have all my little jewelry on my dresser.
Cats are
But
gremlins.
it's fine. I will deal with them later. So that's what I have for today. Oh, I
Yay, that
destroyed
reminds me of how Grammy would use to try and, as she commented, or specifically, pin me down to cuddle with me as a baby.
the Yeah, she did. She would kinda sometimes she would get you in a blanket to tie you up.
Uh-huh. I
Mhm.
didn't like being cuddled.
No, you didn't. Your sister loved it, but
Yet I was still
you
forced to
didn't.
do it.
I mean, you would cuddle with me, and you would cuddle with her.
Yeah, but
But,
I don't like
yes, when
the
you're
looking
you
back and
wanted
just like, heh, I forced you to do this thing you didn't want to do.
Yeah, it is. You just wanted to be standing. It was weird. Like, from the moment you came out, you just wanted to be standing and talking. Ugh.
Here I am, I have a podcast with you, and I'm sitting. My person, you will be very thankful for, as if you're listening to this, you're most likely listening through a computer or a phone or your car through your phone or something of the like, or YouTube and whatnot, technology.
Technology.
You will greatly be thanking Lynn Conway. She was born January 2nd, 1938, and passed away, unfortunately, last June on June 9th, 2024. And she was an American computer scientist, electrical engineer, and transgender rights activist. She was especially important in her key advancement that she invented the generalized dynamic instruction handling, which is used in out of order execution used by modern computer processes to improve performance. Therefore, her invention is key to all the processes we have going on and being successful technologically. You may not need to understand what she has done, but you can learn about it. So, a little bit about her. Conway was born in Mount Vernon, New York on January 2nd, 1938, to Christine Alice Savage and Rufus Savage. Raised as a boy, Conway was brought up in Hartsdale and White Plains, New York, as a shy child who experienced gender dysphoria. After her parents' divorce in 1945, Conway and her younger brother, Blair Savage, were raised by their mother. Conway became fascinated by astronomy, building a 6-inch reflector telescope one summer, and did well in math and science in school. After graduating from White Plains High School in 1955, Conway entered the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and began an attempted gender transition in 1957. Unfortunately for her, she faced a lack of social and medical support, and therefore withdrew from MIT in 1959 and eventually detransitioned. After working as an electronics technician for several years, Conway resumed education at Columbia University's School of Engineering and Applied Science, earning a bachelor's and a master's of science in electrical engineering degrees in 1962 and 1963. In her early research at IBM, she was recruited by IBM Research in Yorktown Heights, New York in 1964, and was soon selected to join the architecture team designing an advanced supercomputer, working alongside John Koch, Brian Randall, Herbert Shore, Ed Sussenguth, Fran Allen, and other IBM researchers at the Advanced Computing Systems. This project, they invented multiple issue out-of-order dynamic instruction scheduling while working there. The Computer History Museum has stated that this Advanced Computer Systems, the ACS, architecture appears to have been the first superscalar design. So it supersized the ability of our processes. And so, after learning about Harry Benjamin's pioneering research in healthcare for transsexual women, which included the feasibility of sex reassignment surgery, Conway sought his assistance. So, struggling with some severe clinical depression due to gender dysphoria, she contacted Benjamin, who agreed to provide counseling and prescribed hormone replacement therapy, or also known today HRT, which she resumed in 1967. While struggling in this life in a male role, Conway had married a woman in 1963 and had 2 children. Under the legal constraints then in place, she was denied access to their children after transitioning. Although she had hoped to be allowed to transition on the job, IBM fired her in 1968 after she revealed her intention to transition. In 2020, IBM publicly apologized to Conway for firing her at a public event with Diane Gearson, then IBM's Senior Vice President of Human Relations. At the event, Conway was awarded the IBM Lifetime Achievement Award for her work at IBM and later work. So, thankfully today we have protections where you can't legally be fired based off of your gender and sexual orientation, but that is slowly being eroded with this current administration. But Conway would still be able to be successful, even if life was a little difficult. Upon completing her gender transition in 1968, Conway took a new name and identity and restarted her career in, quote, stealth mode at a contract programmer at Computer Applications, Inc. So she went across the country. She then worked as a digital systems designer and computer architect at Memorex from 1969 to 1972. She joined Xerox PARC in 1973, where she led the LSI Systems Group under Bert Sutherland. When in PARC, PARC, Conway founded the multi-project Wafers technology, collaborating with Ivan Sutherland and Carver Mead on a very large-scale integration design methodology. She co-authored Introduction to VLSI Systems, a groundbreaking work that would soon become a standard textbook in chip design, used in nearly 120 universities by 1983, with over 70,000 copies sold, and the new integration of her MPC79 Mostis innovations, the Mead and Conway revolution became part of the VLSI design. So even more just awesome, like she knows her stuff. In 1978, Conway served as a visiting associate professor of electrical engineering and computer science at MIT, teaching a now famous VLSI design course based on a Mead-Conway text draft. The course validated the new design methods in textbook and established the syllabus and instructor's guidebook used in later courses worldwide. Among her contributions was the invention of dimensionless, scalable design rules that greatly simplified chip design and design tools. The invention of a new form of internet-based infrastructure for rapid prototyping and short-run fabrication of large numbers of chip designs. They aimed to address the escalating complexity of chip design as traditional methods struggled to keep pace with Moore's Law. And Moore's Law is essentially, it's an observation about transistors, and I don't even know how to explain it because it doesn't give you the simple rule of it, but basically how electronics, they get more complex in size and things, and you can look up Moore's Law. And it still is applicable in today's engineering with the electrical. So the new infrastructure was institutionalized as the metal oxide semiconductor implementation service, the MOSIS system, in 1981. Mead and Conway received Electronics Magazine's annual award of achievement in 1981. VLSI researcher Charles Seitz commented on MOSIS represented the first period since the pioneering work of Eckhart and Moschly on the ENIAC in the late 1940s. I'm not electrical engineering or computer science or hardware, but this was that universities, small companies had access to state-of-the-art digital technology, kind of big deal. So the impact and research methods underlying development of the Mead-Conway VLSI design are detailed in the 1981 Xerox report. 1983, Conway left Xerox to join DARPA, which was a key architect of the United States Department of Defense's Strategic Computing Initiative. And a contemporary USA Today article about Conway's joining DARPA Mark Styflick, a Xerox scientist who worked with her, said Lynn would like to live 5 times in the course of one life. I guess she just wouldn't do a lot of things.
Do a lot of things.
Yeah, and Douglas Fairbairn, a former Xerox associate, said she figures out a way so that everyone wins. Conway joined the University of Michigan in 1985 as a professor of electrical engineering and computer science and associate dean of engineering. There, she specialized in visual communications and designing control systems for hybrid internet and broadband cable user interfaces. She retired from active teaching and research in 1998 as professor emerita at Michigan. Okay, well, so her specific computer science legacy starts with the Meade-Conway VLSI chip design revolution that quickly spread through research universities and the computing industry during the 1980s. It fostered the growth of electronic design automation industry, established the foundry model for the chip design and manufacturing, and spurred a wave of influential technology startups throughout the 1980s and 1990s. In the fall of 2012, the IEEE, which is a electrical engineering society, published a special issue of the IEEE Solid State Circus magazine devoted to Conway's career, including a career memoir by Conway and peer commentaries by Chuck House, former director of engineering at HP. And so there was a few other contributions from people. One of them was stating how she was the singular force behind the entire foundry development that emerged. And subsequently, the scope of Conway's contributions gained wider retrospective attention because back in the 70s and 80s and through the 90s and some early 2000s, there was a lot of wiping her out because she was a woman. She was a transgender woman. So there was a lot of phasing through editions of the textbook of the Meade Conway where it started reducing her name to removing it altogether, where she was not included. Such as, if you have heard of the Conway effect. Conway coined the Conway effect to describe the phenomenon where people othered by society, such as women and people of color, are overlooked in later historical accounts of innovations. She described it in the IEEE Computer Society's Computer Magazine. This is seldom deliberate, rather it's a result of the accumulation of advantage by those who are expected to innovate. And the effect drew inspiration from the Matilda effect and Matthew effect. So, she is acknowledged now, but it took a while to get the proper acknowledgement to the point there was a meeting, an honoring and giving awards of the great innovations that she had done with her collaborators on the VLSI, but she wasn't even invited.
That's
She
not
was
okay.
not considered.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. Because history is typically, as mentioned in her Conway effect coined term, it whitewashes and makes it men-based historically. But when she was nearing retirement, she learned the story of her early work at IBM might soon be revealed through the investigations of Mark Smotherland, that were being prepared for a 2001 application. She began coming out in 1999 to friends and colleagues about her gender transition, because remember, she went under a different name and went to the opposite side of the country. So most people didn't know she was transgender because she, as it was quoted in stealth mode, she was passing in air quotes. Her life story was then more widely reported in 2000 in profiles in Scientific American and the Los Angeles Times. In a later Forbes interview, Conway mentioned from the 1970s to 1999, I was recognized as breaking the gender barrier in computer science field as a woman. But in 2000, it became the transgender barrier I was breaking. So after sharing her story publicly, Conway began working in transgender rights activism to raise awareness, protect and expand trans rights, and promote understanding of gender identity in the process of gender transition. She provided assistance to numerous other transgender women and maintained a website providing medical resources and emotional advice. she maintained a website titled Transsexual Women's Successes to, and in her words, provide role models for individuals who are facing gender transition. Her website was also provide news related to transgender issues, information on gender affirming surgery, and academic inquiries into the prevalence of transsexualism and transgender and transsexual issues in general. She also advocated for equal opportunities and employment protections for transgender people in high technology industry, and for elimination of the pathologization of transgender people by the psychiatric community. Conway was a critic of Blanchard's transsexual typology, along with Andrea James and Deirdre McCloskey. She was a key person in the campaign against J. Michael Bailey's book about the theory The Man Who Would Be Queen. Conway and McCloskey accused Bailey of conducting research on human subjects without their knowledge, sending letters to Northwestern University with this alleged misconduct. So, terrible times. Lynn Conway was doing a great job of fighting forward. In 2009, Conway was named one of the Stonewall 40 Trans Heroes on the 40th anniversary of the Stonewall riots by the International Court System and the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force. In 2013, with support from many tech industry leaders, Conway and Leandra Vissi of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, so the UNC, lobbied the directors of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, for transgender inclusion in their code of ethics. The code became fully LGBT inclusive in January 2014.
Oh.
In 2014, Time magazine named Conway as one of the 21 transgender people who influenced American culture. In 2015, she was selected for inclusion in the Trans 100 and was interviewed in 2020 for inclusion in the Trans Activist Oral History Project. So, as we mentioned, she, in the detransition before she fully and finally transitioned, Conway was married to a woman in 1963 and they had 2 daughters together. Following their divorce in 1968, and Conway was denied access to their children because of the rules and stuff at the time as a transgender woman. But there is some good news about her personal life, as in 1987, Conway met her husband Charles, or Charlie, Rogers, a professional engineer who shared her interest in the outdoors, including whitewater canoeing and motocross racing. They soon started living together and bought a house with 24 acres of meadow, marsh, and woodland in rural Jackson, Michigan in 1994. They were married on August 13, 2002. In 2014, the University of Michigan's The Michigan Engineer alumni magazine documented the connections between Conway's engineering explorations and her personal life. Unfortunately, Conway died from a heart condition at her home on June 9, 2024, at the age of 86. And I've mentioned a few of her awards and honors. There are lots and lots of them with her field of engineering, which is what she is known for, not just her advocacy for transgender rights. She has also have 5 patents to her name, as well as written many articles. So she has been a very powerful person in the world of engineering and electronics, and we only unfortunately didn't get to have any more interactions with her a year ago.
She lived a very full life for those years.
She did, and I find it how impressive that she was able to just go to the other side of the country and just pass, again, in air quotes, because there's some language that's more trans appropriate not enough to go and continue her work and then make more groundbreaking innovations and more patents.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, that's a lot.
So that's Lynn Conway in a nutshell.
Well, that's cool that UNC said, hey, we need to fix these things.
Good for North Carolina, considering it's not
Yeah.
always the best.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, like, that says a lot coming from a very southern state. So, yeah, that's good. Well, cool.
Yeah. And you know, It says she wasn't able to contact her daughters, but maybe they got in contact later. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah,
I know
you
it's
never
probably
know.
awkward to think
Yeah.
at the time your dad just left you, but wait, that's not my dad. That's my other mom.
Yeah, and what they heard and what was the truth, and yeah, there's a lot of that makes it difficult, and times are better for things, but they're still not perfect, but they are
No.
better.
So yeah, I
But
came across a video of her on YouTube and I went, I'm gonna cover her.
cool. Cool. Two strong women.
Yes, and now we're both yawning.
Sorry. Sorry. I've been up for
But
too long.
don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's at Like a Bomb Podcast, and our email is likeabombpodcast@gmail.com. I will post on Instagram more. I'll start scheduling maybe. Post about who we've covered for the week. Go follow us on YouTube, Spotify. Give us likes, comments, subscribes, all the mix of things.
Suggestions, those kind of things.
Support us. It gets more
Yes.
engagement, more people to see us, and we're more likely to post. Well, life
More.
is busy, but we're more encouraged to post bi-weekly like normal.
Yeah. So go do something extraordinary.